Some voters who supported recent political leaders are now expressing disappointment because what they voted for is not actually what they are experiencing at the moment. Welcome to the reality room. Please do not forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you always get updated when we make a post. Let's watch these clips and listen to what these Americans have to say.
The only minority destroying America is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. We are focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Muslims aren't defunding our schools. Immigrants aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. The culture wars are a smokescreen. So many of the divisions in this state and in this country are manufactured by billionaires who want us fighting each other instead of fighting them. They want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. The biggest divide in our politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom.
White people do not hate black people, but white people is tired of the degenerate behavior that is coming out of the black community. They're tired of all the whining and crying coming from the black community, and they're tired of black people not doing anything about their own issues. And I know black people are going to say, well, take your ass to a sundown town. But have you been to y'all neighborhoods lately? Those are sundown towns. And the point that I'm trying to make is that your everyday white person that is in your local supermarket, they are not sitting there thinking about, what can I do to make this black person's life worse? The fact is, black people seems to have a problem with this top 1%, the people at the top. And quite frankly, white people have a problem with these people as well. And I think white people just know that black people are more than capable of being productive members of society. And they can see outside looking in that we're choosing not to do better. We're choosing to be a part of the system. And quite frankly, white people have been trying to tell black people for years that the Democratic Party is not for them. But black people with their heads up their own asses will not listen, and they just call them racist. White people and black people built this country together, and I think it's about time we start having some respect for each other.
To every single American that keeps saying, by law, they were required, by law, by law, by law, they were supposed to do this by law, they broke the law. The law doesn't fucking exist. The law doesn't fucking exist in America, everybody. Every single member of the government is a criminal. And we keep expecting the criminals to hold the other criminals accountable. When the fucking dictator in charge can ignore the courts, law doesn't exist. When every system of checks and balances we had fails because nobody's being held accountable, law doesn't exist. Stop screaming about what is legally required. Nobody fucking cares. The only way this stops is if the people listen to the Constitution and overthrow tyranny. Revolution!
You know, I'll never forget the day a white buddy of mine said black people don't deserve equality because they could never get enough. And that's true. White people are actually scared of equality. That's just how racist we are as a people. And it's not just that one person. White culture in general. Probably I would say most white people, when they hear the word equality, they fear that white people will be oppressed because brown, black, and indigenous people might actually get what's fair and just. That's just how racist we are. And we're so obsessed with the idea of not having equality in America for black, brown, and indigenous people that we don't have health care, that we don't have economic equality. We don't have reasonable gun laws. Our liberties are being stripped because we have a fascist, racist, white supremacist regime in office, because we are so scared of equality. We're so scared that black and brown folks might become the majority one day, that we had a black president, and now we've got to have a white supremacist president. That's how scared we are of equality. That's how racist we are as a people. Go to the fucking root. The root of America's problems. The root of the white man and the white woman, their problems, and America and the world. If you think about it, colonialization, white supremacy, the mentality of white people today, not just yesterday, today, right now, the denial racially, the silence, the apathy, the continuous gaslighting, all that fucking shit, that's ruined us. It's ruined white people, and it's ruining our nation. And whose fault is it? White people's fault. Their inability to fucking fix their goddamn problem. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we try will fail. It's dysfunctional and it's toxic, and Trump and this regime is the perfect proof of all that shit. How we got in this fucking mess? White people's bullshit. White people's racist fucking bullshit. Period.
I'm sorry, but America's billionaire problem is not normal. You might see Elon and all these other really rich guys and just assume that this absurd wealth inequality is just a byproduct of America getting rich. I'm here to tell you that that's not what it is at all. I mean, just take a look at this chart that I made. This is every developed country graphed on the y-axis by how wealthy they are, and graphed on the x-axis by how wealth unequal they are. In other words, all of the pretty equal countries will show up on the left, and the unequal countries will show up on the right. For example, here's China. Now, I haven't plotted the United States yet, but I just want you to try and figure out where it's gonna land. If you guessed all the way over here, then you'd be right. Even among rich countries, America still stands out as extremely wealth unequal, showing that just being rich isn't the cause of any of this. And it wasn't always like this. In fact, the 13 colonies were the most income equal country of anywhere in the measurable world. So like Europe, for example. So where do you guys think it all went wrong?
One of my favorite quotes ever is by the author Isaac Asimov, where he states that there is a cult of ignorance in the United States that can be seen in its culture and politics. He states that democracy for a lot of Americans means that their ignorance is just as good as someone else's knowledge. And I think that it is such an astute observation that has always been true, including right now. One of the things I always marvel at when it comes to politics in the United States is how little information Americans think they need to know in order to have an opinion on something. People with almost zero knowledge, zero historical context, who probably possess as much wisdom as a fruit fly, believe that their opinion is worth as much as someone who knows a lot more than them on a particular subject. And worst of all, they think that consuming mainstream media and listening to politicians is just as valuable and truthful as a well-researched paper or a scholarly report. But this actually goes hand in hand with the anti-intellectual nature of the United States. Surveys have shown that Republican voters overwhelmingly do not value higher education. And in a country where education is nothing but a business, and people are so intellectually lazy that the propaganda and lies that politicians spew can be easily disproved with a simple Google search, but rather people just take their word for it and believe it anyway. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of Americans don't actually mind being ignorant. They will accept what politicians tell them and forego the warnings of scientists if it means making more time for their brunches and their football games.
Hey, what's up, America? Everybody in America seems to be struggling. I have not talked to or met a single person in the last 365 days that says they're doing better in life. Not one American from the thousands of people I've talked to, nobody is doing better. And every single person says the exact same thing. Food is too high, gas is too high, houses and rent is too high, cars are too high, insurance, both cars, home, and health, all too expensive. Food prices are so high, people don't even know if they can feed their family. And we're basically now living in a nation that's only determined by price gouging. Nothing else matters. While these major companies close up shop and send your jobs overseas, they charge you more and more here. But all those factory jobs you could have had, they took your future, your pension, your benefits, your overtime, shut you down completely, packed up the factory, moved it to Thailand, and hired those people and didn't give them benefits and paid them dick. And what did they do with the remainder of the money that should have been your future? Why, the CEOs pocketed every dime. But that's the good American way, right? Yeah, the extra profits these big companies made in the last 4 or 5 years, that's your future stolen, put into their pockets so they can have some money while you struggle and toil for nothing. Now, obviously, Republicans aren't going to do anything to alleviate price problems like this. They love it. Hell, they bank on this being a thing. Price gouging or nothing, that's the American way. But then you Democrats, you don't protest companies. You don't protest high prices. You do protests against Trump and no kings. Duh! Immigrants are welcome here. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, Democrats, have your flapping of the lips and your stupid rhetoric brought prices down? Fuck no. For the last 4 years, Democrats have been saying, the president doesn't set prices. Duh! Well, if you know that, why are you protesting Donald Trump to lower prices then? Why aren't you protesting the companies, fuckface? Because Democrats don't want prices to come down. Same with Republicans, only for different reasons. Republicans look the other way on price gouging because it makes their donors and constituent business owners lots of money. And Democrats don't do anything because, well, never let a crisis go to waste. As long as prices are high, stupid people will vote Democrat, promising that they'll fix everything when they get elected. Then they get elected and they ignore the fuck out of you. Duh! It's the same way Republicans rub price gouging in your face. Democrats, just a little more. Come on, just a little. Just vote for us a little more. We'll do something. Maybe 10, 20, just a little more. Keep voting Democrat. You're almost there. But not one of you ridiculous assholes are even interested in lowering prices. Only 90% of the population. But for the rest of you, you ignore the shit out of us because you want our vote. So first of all, instead of protesting Trump, you need to start protesting individual large billion-dollar corporations. You need to start standing out in front of big businesses and telling them, fuck you. Be obstructionist. If you don't like data centers, your government's not going to do anything. You have to start doing something on your own. You have to grow a dick and balls. You can't just wring your hands and say, oh, I hope something happens. Oh, I hope. You're going to be hoping your entire life, being price gouged and having data centers built around you the whole time. We get one Luigi and the rest of you turn tail and run like your hair's on fire. What are you, pussies or something? No, you'll try to assassinate Trump over and over and over, though he has no power to lower prices. But then you ignore the CEOs and companies. Are you fucking brain dead? What is wrong with you? I used to have hope for America, but seeing how low IQ people are getting, it's really starting to get to me.
You know, I go to bed at night watching TikTok videos. I'll watch 100 of them before I finally fall asleep. And, you know, they lead me to mostly First Amendment auditors who I just love. I just love them. And conservative YouTubers who will go out on the street and say, you know, what's the best country in the world? And, you know, do you believe the United States is the best country in the world? And they say, you know, I would like to live in Denmark. Or this is the best country on earth. Period. I've been to 72 countries. I'm going to add another 5 more by the end of next year. This is the best country on earth. Of course we have problems because we're human. But the founding fathers gave us a system that is perfect for resolving those problems, right? The 3 co-equal branches of government. It's a little askew right now, but it's going to return to where it should be. It always does.
You think so?
I do. It always has through history. And it will again. But
what has to happen for it to return there?
Congress needs to find what happened to its ball sack.
Did it ever have one?
It vanished once upon a time. I remember Jimmy Carter complaining. I was a kid. I was in high school. Jimmy Carter complaining that he couldn't get anything done because Congress wouldn't do what he told him to do. And the Democrats controlled both houses of Congress. And they were like, we don't work for you. Co-equal branches of government. Well, we've forgotten that.
Right.
And so the Democrats are in lockstep with Joe Biden. The Republicans are in lockstep with Donald Trump. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Yes, work together. But look at the 80s under the Reagan presidency. The Democrats controlled the House. The Republicans controlled the Senate for the first 4 years or 6 years of either 4 or 6, I can't remember anymore, of the Reagan presidency. But the Speaker of the House was a Massachusetts liberal named Tip O'Neill. And what happened? The president would invite him over for breakfast, and they would sit and hash things out because they were both gentlemen, and that's how you got business done in Washington.
Let's make a deal.
Exactly. Everything is open to negotiation. Everything. So let's negotiate.
And you think we can get back to that?
I do. I think we can get back to that.
So many of you reached out after my last video that I had to say this one more time. The media has been lying to you about America, and the World Cup just proved it. For years, European and Canadians have been fed the same narrative. America is dangerous. Americans are ignorant. The culture is shallow. The food will kill you. And people believed it. Why? Because they saw it on the news. They read it online. They never actually went. Then the World Cup came, and millions of people who had never set foot in the US suddenly showed up. And you know what they found? Friendly people, incredible energy, stadiums that blew their minds, hospitality they didn't even expect. Video after video of Europeans and Canadians saying, I had no idea, I was completely wrong, this is nothing like what I was told. And that's exactly the problem. The media doesn't profit from you having a good experience. It profits from fear, division, outrage. A Canadian family having the time of their life in Texas doesn't get clicks, you know? A crime story does. So that's all you ever see. That's all you ever hear. And slowly, without even realizing it, your entire worldwide view gets shaped by people who want you to be afraid. And look, in my opinion, the World Cup didn't just bring football to America. It accidentally broke the most powerful propaganda machine in the world, because people finally went and saw it for themselves. So stop letting a screen decide what you think about a place. Go experience it, because I promise you the truth is always different from what they're selling you. Always.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and here are 5 myths about slavery that you probably learned in school. I went to an Ivy League school where I studied U.S. history, and I wanted to share these facts because it's astounding how many people don't know. Number 1, slavery was mostly in the South. This is actually not true. Almost every single northern state had slavery. In the 1700s, New York was actually one of the biggest slaveholding states. Number 2, enslaved people didn't resist. This is absolutely not true. There were numerous revolts and rebellions. Enslaved people even protested through intentionally slowing down their work or creating systems like the Underground Railroad. Number 3, slavery was a long time ago and does not affect us today. The 13th Amendment allowed for forced labor as punishment for a crime, which is what set up the system of mass incarceration. Because now, if you are a criminal, then they can make you do work for free. Number 4, slaveholders were kind and treated enslaved people like family. This is a whitewash narrative in an attempt to make the Confederacy look better than they were, but again, this is not true. And any attempt to own a human being is in itself a cruel and violent act. And number 5, the Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery. In 1863, Lincoln's address actually only applied to people who were in Confederate states. It was actually an act of war rather than an act that was an attempt to free people who were enslaved.
You know what's so funny? Maybe people have been distracted with the Carmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf situation. You know, stuff happens. But, you know, over this Juneteenth weekend where we commemorate the release of the final enslaved people out of Galveston, Texas, something happened in Chicago on the South Side that nobody seems to be talking about for whatever reason. Oh, yeah, that's right. A mass shooting took place over Juneteenth weekend. But I guess everybody been too caught up talking about this Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf situation, a situation between two teenage boys, and that y'all done put the race narrative on. Y'all done straight up ignored the fact that some niggas in the hood in the south side of Chicago pulled up, did a drive-by with them switches, let that thing ring, rah, let the whole clip loose, 100 cases on the ground. They found 100 rounds on the ground after 12 people got hit in the hood, in a black neighborhood in Chicago, a liberal city with that black mayor, and I don't hear no fuss about it. I don't see nobody on TikTok making dissertations. Of course, everybody talking about the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf situation, because it's gonna make you some money on TikTok, real talk. But it's like, if a white person do something to a black person, or even if it just got anything to do with white and black, y'all niggas will get out here and just make think piece after think piece after think piece. But when them little niggas walking around with them guns and they pull up in the black neighborhood and let them things loose, shh, it's quiet. You can't hear nothing. We always talk about holding folks accountable, but for whatever reason, black folks refuse to talk about that. We'll talk all day about some hypothetical between a black and a white person, but when these niggas out here killing folks, because they doing it every day. I'm in Atlanta. Niggas dying out here at the hands of other niggas. It's not by white people. I'm sorry to tell y'all that. A white person not walking around their bit killing niggas. It's only black young men doing this. Don't nobody want to talk about it. Somebody help me figure that out.
Are more Americans changing their minds about their country's direction, or do you believe they are standing by the choices they made? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section.